October, everyone. Aren't you glad that this year's almost over after being actually 27 years long?
I'm now 84 years old.
Even though time is a man-made construct, it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters.
Welcome to the beacon of optimism that is the After Arc. I'm Connor, as usual, and I'm here with Erik, Hunter, and Arlen, and we're going to talk about Halloween media recommendations. Not necessarily, I guess not. Well, yeah, horror.
I mean,
horror.
My list is going to diverge. My list is going to diverge a little bit.
Right, but you're not going to put When Harry Met Sally on the list.
No. It's nothing like
My
that.
first pick is The Notebook.
That takes place around Halloween, probably.
See, it's scary because a man thinks about one person. A man thinks about one woman for 15 years, then builds her a house without her knowing it.
It's scary because commitment.
Yeah, it's scary because dude, stalker vibes.
Also, it's Ryan Gosling, who's naturally
the world's ugliest man. The world's ugliest man, Ryan Gosling. Okay, so all right.
I fucking wish you were Ryan Gosling.
Okay, no. The reason why I say that is because I was reading something a while back. I wonder if I can find it. But it was like how when they were casting that movie, Ryan Gosling was relatively unknown, and they were like, I guess the director was like, I want to find someone ugly for this movie or something along those lines, and he chose Ryan Gosling.
Okay, so wait a second. Nick Cassavetes, who me and Connor both know intimately well now as an actor.
Oh my God!
You said that Ryan Gosling was ugly.
Apparently,
Cassavetes seen his own face. He has a very bizarre beak nose. He's weirdly tall. He's shaped like a buzzard.
Especially in that movie.
Well, first of all, in that movie, I don't care how old he actually is. He sticks out like a sore thumb because he looks like he's 45 among a group of what's very clearly 20-year-olds.
He looks like if Nolan North went through one of those, like, you know, those machines you put a penny in and then it like stretches it out. That's what he looks like.
Oh my God.
That's perfect.
And then he's in Face Off, and I always forget about that. He's Castor Troy's cousin who gets shot in the throat during the big apartment shootout.
Yeah, you said that on the dumpster, and I was like, I need to rewatch Face Off now because I didn't realize that was him.
I mean, I would rewatch Face Off for any reason in the world, and that's a good enough one for me.
I mean, any John Woo movie because none of them are available anywhere. It's really weird.
Nick Cassavetes looks like Johnny Knoxville's chubby uncle.
He does. That's good.
Yeah. Looks like ugly John Cassavetes.
Who wants to go first?
I don't care.
I can go.
Who wants to go first?
Well, Hunter, how about you go first since you seem to have some outside of the box choices?
Yeah, okay. Probably it should be. Yeah.
All right. This first one is not a movie. It's not gonna be like any kind of music or a comic book or a video game. This is actually a place. Traveling right now is not a good idea. Like, I'm not gonna advocate traveling. Don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
But when COVID isn't around this time of year, I'm gonna miss it. I would like to go. I usually go to Salem, Massachusetts, and like particular time. This particular time in fall, around October, is like the perfect time to go. But not only because of like the story behind Salem, it's just like it's very beautiful in the fall, and like they usually have like cool events to do, or even just sightseeing. Like, it's a fun little tourist trap town. I definitely highly recommend it if you're ever in Massachusetts. Why would you be though? It's Mass.
Why would you? Why would you go there? Why would you even bother?
My wife really wants to go sometime, but
you should.
I also know not to go around this time of the year because it's insanely filled with tourists.
Yeah,
it is.
I've had friends visit there, and they've taken pictures. They took pictures back, and I was like blown away by just how, I guess, like on brand everything looks.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
It's like, it is genuinely a spooky place to be, and like you don't even have to sit up for Halloween. You're like, oh, this hotel lobby has suits of armor and really weird looking furniture and other shit that I don't know where it came from.
Also, Salem has my favorite comic book store, Harrison's, which I don't know if it's still open due to COVID, but it's a great. If you're ever there and it's open, definitely go and support them. They're awesome.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Satanic Temple actually used to have one of their main locations in Salem.
Yeah, why do you think I win every year?
Well, no, like the Satanic Temple is actually a legit good place.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I can't remember because there's the two different Satan-based groups out there, and I can't remember which one is which.
There was a civil war within Satan. Some of them are Nazis, and some of them aren't.
Support Satan, everybody. Yo, fuck.
we support Satan, but also Hitler.
Whoa.
No.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it caused. It's like everything. It seems like.
The Satanic Temple is the one that's worth getting behind, because they're the ones that have put up the statues of Baphomet in places that have put up the Ten Commandments within what is it, government-based buildings where you're not really allowed to have anything religious like that. So they're like, well, if you can do that, then we can put up a statue of Baphomet, which is one.
Right. No, you.
You did it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a little sort of halfway
about that place.
What was that?
I said I wish I had more to say about that place, but I've never been there. But I
That's good.
Want to go.
Yeah, it does actually sound nice. I guess a little kind of between thing for that might be. I think there might be people who have made not Google Maps. I think they're called Google Domes. Somebody check that. I don't know what they're called exactly. It's like a VR thing where you go to a place and you just take a lot of panoramic pictures and you can upload it. And Google puts it together so that it's like when you're doing Street View on Google, but for a place or an area.
Whoa.
So Salem feels like the kind of place that would have a lot of these domes, and you can find them on Google Maps. And a lot of people have used these domes for different things. If you go to Google Maps and you look at England, and I think it's in Wales, you can go inside the TARDIS in Google Maps. Peter Capaldi's TARDIS. And you can just walk around it for hours if you want to. Not the full TARDIS. It's not lower hallways, but yeah. But you can look at Peter Capaldi's library and his guitar, and it's all there. So yeah, I guess look for Google Domes of Salem, Massachusetts. That might be a way for people who can't go anywhere right now.
Or just look at pictures of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing that's coming up for Google Domes is about their headquarters, so I'm not really sure.
I don't remember what it's called. Google Orbs, Google something. It's
Google Orbs.
It all sounds very titular. Which
Google Orbs sounds like something that Zach Baggins would be really into.
Google Spheres are just the spheres from Phantasm, except they have a Google camera.
Yes.
And they all
you say "Okay, Google," and then they drill you in the head.
Yeah, he's the director. No, it's just pictures.
Boy.
Is he the Phantasm?
Do a good Google search, boy.
Have you come to see the map?
You play a good hard game, boy.
The hotel is at full capacity, boy.
Oh,
so many angry screams in Salem. This is weird.
You joke, but
I'm sure it has its fair share of tall, gaunt, scary men.
There's some interesting characters in Massachusetts in general. Honestly, if I always said if the Earth opened up and saw Massachusetts hold, what would we really lose? So.
Would the Wahlberg family be wiped out of existence if that happens? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Fair trade. Fair trade.
Mark wasn't there. Honestly, family? Donnie? Oh my god.
What about Wahlburgers?
Say hello to the devil for me.
That was spot on. Anyone have anything else to say about Salem?
No, I mean it's like I said, it's something my wife and I would love to do, but I don't want to go out there around October. That's madness. That's
definitely during fall is the ideal time to go though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll come stay with you, Hunter.
Yeah. Stay in my tiny apartment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll
It'll be
sleep on
real
the floor.
cozy.
It'll
You
be
and
good.
Eric will spoon, and
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
His wife will be very uncomfortable.
Well, you know what? Welcome to marriage.
It's like I'd be more comfortable if it was me and Hunter spooning.
First of all, Hunter sleeps around the room like he just leans against like the perimeter of 3 different walls, kind of like lines up against it.
Here's the thing: I've knocked out a wall in my apartment, and I've created a nest inside of it.
Where your feet stick out.
Why is there a hole in this wall? Oh, well, Hunter lived in here. It was the closest to the heating vents. So
go where he can lay down.
Yeah. He likes to be near the hot water pipes. It's how he stays warm. Who wants to go next?
Sure, I'll go. Why not? So this first one's a very broad topic, so I want to get it out of the way. I think if you're in the mood for some spooky shit this Halloween or this October, there's a swath of excellent horror coming out of Korea right now, and that whole subgenre of films is what I'm recommending. Like Shudder is now like the Korean horror place. There's at least 5 or 6 movies on there at a time, and like if they aren't excellent, they're usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I watched 0.0 megahertz again, and that movie is like The Grudge but way cooler.
Oh, okay.
Like it's exciting. It's about ghost hunters who go to this like they investigate somewhere, and it's lots of like spooky hair ghost gags, but like at some point somebody's getting just like dragged through a fucking crawl space by this hair.
Oh, that's nice.
By their face. Yeah,
Hunter's like, no thanks.
Really, really
cool.
good.
Good.
Yeah,
this.
Really cool. I think Tiger's Not Afraid is from Korea too.
No, that's like Argentina.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking something else. But also The Wailing is out recently, and I started that. And
Yes.
Isn't that like almost 3 hours long?
The Wailing is a monster of a horror film.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I don't think I've gotten to it yet, because it's like, oh, that's a long time to sit there. But I've heard comparisons to like The Thing in terms of how good it is. So like,
I think I'm with you on that, Arlen. Like that is the only reason I haven't gotten to it, because I've heard nothing but renown for it, and then I'm like, all right, 130 some odd minutes, like if not, well, actually more like 140 if I remember.
Yeah, and like it's got a lot going on for a horror film, and like I guess like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but from everything I understand from it, it pulls absolutely no punches, and leans into some really interesting questions about like how you feel about foreigners and outsiders, and like the someone you might think is just instinctively trustworthy is actually trying out to deceive you. Like a while ago we had that like big batch of like Korean revenge movies, and like no one was doing what they were doing at the time, because those movies are all vicious, and I can't think of anything Western that emulates like how I felt after watching I Saw the Devil.
No, I don't think there is anything else.
God. Yeah,
that movie is brutal.
Movie is nasty from start to finish, and like you get done with it, you're like, oh, nobody won this. I didn't even win, and I didn't have anything on on the line.
We all lose. It's like the ADP.
So good, and so bleak, and so mean spirited, and like has so many fucking I did not see that coming moments. Korean horror. It's kind of like, I think they're doing like better. I think the movies we have now, I think, are way better than that big Japanese wave, even retroactively. Because when I look back on that, I'm like, that's a lot of like spooky ghost girls do the same shit.
Well, even beyond that, if you dug a little deeper during like that whole wave of like, Japanese horror, like there was 1 or 2 like good zombie films coming out of there, and then everything else was kind of goofy. Like they always had to throw in like elements of very Japanese comedy, which good at times, but it's still just like it's just like a straight horror movie, please.
Yeah, and like now, in a video I was watching, like got me to watch The Wailing. He was talking about how I think it was Ryan Hollinger was talking about how like the franchises that were popular for being spooky and like kind of putting J-horror on the map are now these ridiculous, over the top, like cartoon, insanity reels where like Sadako's got anime fucking moves, and Sadako versus Kayako where they jump into the air and merge bodies. It sounds all insane.
What a great period of time that was when we found out that was real.
Yeah, we're like, this movie fucking ends with them doing the fusion dance.
Yes.
I'm still so angry every time this comes up, even when I brought it up.
Honestly, I really love the idea of two ghosts fighting.
It's so fucking dumb. Like I know that might be hypocritical because my favorite moment of all time, or one of my favorite moments, is like in The Conjuring when Annabelle and that witch demon like team up. They fucking do a tag team on a little girl. It's fantastic.
Like ghosts working for their own interests with other ghosts, either for or against, is super interesting. It's like, what do you have to gain from this?
This is why I want to make a movie that is the Ghost Civil War, where it's just a bunch of ghosts, ghost brother against ghost brother.
And like the Sadako versus Kayako thing is weird because it's like, how do you intend to inflict harm on one another? You're both wraiths. You're specters. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
The answer is jump in the air and smash together and become one weird ghost.
Yeah, it's just like, why do this? But back to the like Korean horror thing, like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and Shudder is doing a very good job of bringing a lot of it here. That movie, The Metamorphosis, is fucking great. If you're bored with like American exorcism movies, watch The Metamorphosis.
Okay.
Because they have an interesting take, and like a lot of those Korean horror movies, it's very linked to their cultural differences, the way that they, have processed Christianity slightly differently, I would say, than the rest of the world.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Korean horror always feels very much its own thing because there's like aspects of its culture there. It's usually reflecting that is completely alien to me. And it always feels like such a unique like view into like the pop culture from a different country. Also, they're still pumping out those fucking awesome ass crime thrillers, revenge thrillers. They seemingly never stopped.
Yeah,
I think Memories of Murder is the other one I've heard about that's really good.
I remember way back when I watched I Saw the Devil. Like, I was like, wow, this is brutal.
I know we've already been there, but like, fuck, man. I think like the first time he beats the fuck out of that guy, and then like is about to kill him with a rock, and is like, hang on. I know a way this will be more enjoyable, and then just like lets him go and is like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I haven't revisited that movie in years, but yeah, I can't disagree at all. Like everything, and mind you, I haven't seen a ton of Korean horror, but everything I've seen, I've been like, that was so good, like so much better than I expected it to be, and I've yet to be disappointed by film.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next since whatever. And since we're on the topic of film, I'll go with mine, which it's kind of an obvious choice, but it's also just perfect for the Halloween time spirit. Trick or Treat. It is the perfect anthology film, like specifically horror wise.
So fucking good, and like it is. Like, all the transitions between stories are seamless, and then the way they loop around at times is brilliant.
Yep.
And that's got a lot of surprising performances from people I didn't expect.
Yeah. It's a shame that I feel like it should be much bigger than it is because it got shelved for so long.
It was shelved like 4 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But I have no idea why it got shelved because there's no way you can watch that and be like, Man, this is okay.
This didn't deserve to come out in theaters.
Yeah, like was it during a weird time when like horror films just weren't that popular for whatever reason? I don't know.
I think it came down to like I think it was Dimension or Screen, one of those.
Oh yeah,
like that. Like it came from a studio who's like, we don't know what to do with this. They just like put it in a shelf. Like what you do with it is you put it in theater. You fucking goobers. And then like people collectively forgot about it. Kind of like the Poughkeepsie tapes. Like that was supposed to be a big deal, and then it like vanished. And then once it popped up on the internet, everyone was like, "Oh my god, Poughkeepsie tapes!" And then everyone watched it and was like, "I need a shower."
I've never actually watched that.
I'm good on the Poughkeepsie tapes.
I watched it and it's effective for what it's doing. I don't want to watch it again. Because it's smutty and creepy.
No, thank you. With Trick or Treat, like the special effects are so great. Like there isn't a single role in there that's done poorly. Like it's Kurt Connor's like the actor who plays the
Yeah.
lizard in that, like he's so perfect as that, like oh, you wouldn't suspect him, and then he's putting like poison in Fat Boy's candy and just teaching his
Yeah.
daughter how to murder people. It does everything so well, and it keeps you, I don't want to say guessing, but you're not expecting anything because you don't know what to expect, because like a good anthology, it's going to show you something different with each story.
And then like the way the stories all end up crossing over is really interesting every time, because typically it's some kind of reveal, or you're getting another detail of like part of the story you saw earlier. Like I think in that story, or earlier in the movie, I think someone looks next door and they see what's his face getting attacked by Sackboy, or like whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Then you have like
Sam.
no context for that for like an hour until like an hour in the movie.
Yeah, it's Brian Cox, the bus driver. That's when he's being attacked. He's being attacked during the same time as the principal is dealing with the body in the backyard and all that whatnot.
Yeah,
but
then like that guy is connected to the story of when the kids go to the quarry, and like it's also the town feels very connected and alive, and the world is so realized. It's really good.
Yeah. It's seamless.
I haven't seen an anthology where you're just like, wow, there was no part of that dragged.
Nope. No, because I mean, even with Creepshow films, which I love, like there's still parts of them that you're like, this one's okay. Like, but
I don't like the Roach story. I think it's the first movie.
Which one?
The old germaphobe who locks himself in his apartment.
Oh,
sci-fi apartment, and then he gets attacked by roaches.
I always loved that one when I was a kid. Just for the part where the roaches all come out of him.
So the gist is like it's this like really nasty, mean, fucking germaphobe old man who has this like intensely high-tech apartment to keep out germs.
80s high-tech.
And then he's inundated with cockroaches. He can't find out where they're coming from.
That just seems really mean.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. You should just check out the scene from the very end of it when he somehow starts having cockroaches bursting out of him.
Oh, nice, cool.
Right. And then he says, "You're not gonna like it."
And then Alice Cooper stabs someone with a bike. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. On the trick or treat thing, that movie's great, and it's, as much as I like the everybody do your own segment and do whatever you want anthologies, which is what we've had a lot of since that movie. There's something to be said for a movie that's very well written and very well put together, that is also giving you all these different flavors of horror. So like I wish we had more of those. Like I wish it was sort of half and half, that we had a couple of VHSs and a couple of Southbounds, but a couple of movies that were like, that might be really well written and really well thought out could also be a good thing. I feel like it's a lot of directors who don't have money to just do a short film on their own, being like, how do I get somebody to chip in with me, help me make my movie?
I don't. Southbound was one that I watched within the past like 2 years, and just it did nothing for me. Like parts of it, I'm like, oh, this could be cool. Okay, no, and I don't blame anybody for enjoying it. It did nothing for me personally.
Is that the Johnny Darko guy made that?
He might have been one of them.
Southland Tales.
Yeah, that's what.
The Southland Tales.
Yeah,
no,
that's
Southbound is like it's horror stories, but they're all in like your neck of the woods. They're all like desert. Like desert out in the deep roads off the beaten path, and they're all stories in that sort of setting. And like, I maybe one or two of them were really like interesting. And the directors have all gone on to do other stuff. So like, what do I know? But like, I didn't care for most of those stories. And like the one story, I was like, oh, I really have an interest in seeing these characters live. That story ties directly into the next story, where they just like brutally murder that character to ignite that story.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't care. You use the person who I cared about as fodder for another story.
And that's kind of what they do with each story too, is like characters who lived through the prior one end up introducing the next one by most of the time being brutally murdered somehow, either by purposely or accidentally. Yeah.
Yeah, and that movie has something for everybody. There's fucking vampires, werewolves, zombies, ghosts, everything. I think,
yeah.
But yeah, VHS, like I feel like VHS 2 was the only one that I really truly enjoyed every bit of, and then everything after that has been middling at best. So
honestly, the best one is the third one, I would have to say, where there's like a man who goes through a portal and he meets these aliens with like penises that come out of their stomach.
Yeah. He meets a parallel Earth, and it's almost the same, but everyone has horrifying, like, thing-esque, appendages.
Right.
Wait,
it's
isn't that the one where like the alternate Earth is like pure evil? And
yes, they're all Satanists. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like that one was decent.
My people.
That was a VHS viral, right?
Yes. I would say that's the best one. That's the one that I like the most. The other two have better. They might have like better standout segments. Like the segment from the Raid guys is really good.
Mm-hmm. Is VHS viral the one with the magician?
Maybe.
I think so.
That's the only one, because like someone described that whole thing to me, and I thought it was hilarious. I've never watched it, but like I just know that there's a magician in one of these.
Yeah,
movies.
it's a premise that fucking reaches, and you're like,
mm-hmm.
come on, guys.
Yeah, that one goes a little bit like, really? Yeah, I mean, like Moorhead and Benson did a segment for that one. It's my least favorite thing that they've touched. So like
the longest skateboarding session ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like I'm saying VHS Viral is the best of them, with the caveat of like, I don't think any of them are great. I think that a couple of the segments are effective or
you can take all those movies in a butter knife and then make one good movie.
Yeah.
Just putting all the great segments together.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's I've said this before. I think if it in terms of like any anthology series, like a television series, there are going to be filler episodes. I love The Twilight Zone, but there are filler episodes in that original run.
Oh, definitely.
So like, but I would say that maybe the VHS people should have thought a little bit more about what they were putting into the movies. Because I don't disagree that parts of that first one, which you've said this before, Eric, as well, that parts of it are a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, a little bit rapey.
Parts of it are a little bit uncomfortable. But at the same time, like I still really think the connecting device of all those movies is still pretty strong. Those movies could have been better. I think they needed like a person like looking at all of them and saying, maybe we don't do this one. Maybe we don't need Woman Whose Head Splits Open. Even though that's the one that got like a spin-off or its own movie or something.
That's the succubus one.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I like you.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God, cool really? One. That one's cool, but it was cool in comparison to the other ones that were on there. Outside the one I know, Arlen, that you like, which I remembered now with the weird like glitch killer thing, which that one wasn't bad in the first one, but I'd say those are the only two worthwhile ones to me in the first one.
But, well, if you don't like what's the director's name? If you don't like
West.
Joe Swanberg, if you think Joe Swanberg is a giant piece of shit and you like to see him die, there's the one where he gets killed by his wife and her lesbian lover. That's
that's the Ty West one, isn't it?
Fuck yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
it's the one where it's like them on a vacation and they're being followed.
Yeah, and videotaped and all that. Like they're seeing videotapes and like somebody's messing with their toothbrushes and all that. Yeah, that's the Ty West directed one. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but that's
I wasn't for the most part, except of course Joe Swanberg dying. There's no reason for my hatred of him, but I do. Anyways, Trick or Treat. Anthologies are good. I feel like that's that's where that ends.
Yeah, more anthologies. Please.
Yeah, well,
like Trick or Treat specifically.
Well, well done anthologies, like ones that you actually think out what the through line is going to be of the entire thing. And that's the creme de la creme of Halloween anthologies in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I will go next because I wasn't gonna mention this one specifically, but I might as well. I have another anthology actually.
Oh, there we go.
This is one it's like 5 No, it's not 5 seconds. It's like 12 segments, I think.
Okay.
It's a lot of segments.
No, it's 9. It's 9 directors. I don't know how many segments.
Betamax.
It's the anthology Holidays. And Holidays features Kevin Smith, Kevin Kolsch, Gary Shore, Dennis Widmeyer, and Adam Egypt Mortimer. Kevin Smith is probably the most notable director of those. Kevin Kolsch did Starry Eyes. Adam Egypt Mortimer did Daniel Isn't Real. I can't remember what Dennis Widmeyer did that I loved. Oh, he also did Starry Eyes and Pet Sematary.
One of those is good.
One of those is very good. The other one has aged like milk. But no, so Holidays is very good. Not all the segments are good. Like I said, every anthology except for Trick or Treat, it seems, has like a bad segment. But this one, I think even the bad segments at least feel right for the theme of this, which is holidays basically gone wrong. There is a segment, I believe, with like a woman who gives birth to a snake.
Okay.
Because St. Patrick's
Hell
Day.
yeah.
So yeah, like that's a thing that happens. But there's a couple segments in particular that really make me think about this movie a lot and want to go back to it. There's a segment called Father's Day, which is about this woman who's receiving tapes from her dead father, and he's like leading her somewhere. And I won't say anything more than that because it ends in a really just weird place. But it's very creepy, and the imagery from that segment sticks with me.
Holidays is the one with the creepy Easter bunny, right?
I think it is. It's also the one where Kevin Smith's daughter plays like a cam girl, and Harley Morrison is there. Yeah, again, they're not all winners. They're not all.
Not a big fan.
No like.
So don't watch that one. That's the thing. It's weird. The Kevin Smith segment is maybe the least interesting segment of all of them. So that's a thing.
Not to be mean, but oh no, shocking. Like, I like Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith has seen better days.
You mean contemporary Kevin Smith isn't what he used to be?
He's healthy though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
at least he's alive and he's doing well on that front.
Yeah.
But we don't get more red state. I don't mean red states as in the actual concept of red state.
No,
people out there.
No, I would love more red states from him. But yeah, no, it's I've seen that when I've been flipping through Netflix, and I've always been like, maybe, and then I find something else, and and I mean that's how I find things like Spiral and other things like that on Shudder. So, but yeah, now that hearing you say it's not bad, and it's there's some people I recognize on it, I might actually have to check it out.
Yeah, it's up there with what was that one that you suggested to me? Dark Tapes. Dark Tapes might be a little bit better.
I think is that the one where they're stuck in the movie theater and
maybe
Dark
Tapes that's the one where it's like one of the segments is they unleash like an nth dimensional entity through cameras, and it like tears their souls apart, and it's like you will be trapped in my void for all time.
I think that's one that I remember, because at the end of it, it's like you find out why there was stuff left outside of the movie theater and all that whatnot.
That is right. Yeah, it's like a college auditorium. That's what it is, or something like that. Yeah.
All right. I couldn't remember because I was thinking about that when you were talking about holidays and something else when we were talking about anthologies. But yeah, that's one that I remember not being that bad. That's the one that I remember having the magician in it, but I guess it was VHS viral.
I think that one does also have a magician in it.
Oh, there you go. Well, Hunter, there you go.
Sweet, 2 magician movies.
But yeah, it's not. It may not be as good as Dark Tapes, because Dark Tapes is like 4 segments, so it's less chance of error.
Yeah.
But I would say like the highs are as high as any of those segments from Dark Tapes for me. So yeah, check it out. And this is the other thing that I do like about anthologies. If you like get a minute in and you're like, this is bad, you can just like look away. You can just like look at your phone for until that segment is over. That's what I do. That's why anthologies can be fun in that way. So yeah. Who is next? We're just going.
Hunter.
I think Hunter.
Okay, so my next thing on my list is a little game called Costume Quest. And if you don't know what Costume Quest is, it's an RPG developed by Double Fine, where you're basically a child trick-or-treating, and you get like different costumes that do different things, and it's a really fun kind of Halloween themed video game.
Yeah, that's a ton of fun. No, that's a really good choice. I totally forgot
very
about this.
unexpected but very appropriate choice.
Yeah,
That fits.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the best way to describe that is like it is exactly what you said, but then when you get into a fight, like the kids become what they imagine they are in the costume. So like if one is dressed up as like a robot character, they turn into this like giant anime like robot character. And like,
I believe there's a Statue of Liberty costume you can get.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the second one was on was Games with Gold a while ago, which I started playing it and I was like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun and really cute. Yeah. No, that's an awesome suggestion. I totally forgot about that. I might
those games are that again. Fantastic. Definitely worth playing. And I think they're awfully short. It's been a while since I played any of them, but like I was like thinking about picking them back up the other day because I got them in Humble Bundle from Steam, and they're really cool. Like
yeah. Are they Tim Schafer was involved with those, or was it somebody else?
It's the was it Gabe Miller? I can't remember. He's the director.
Yeah, God damn it! It's somebody like wasn't the guy who did Psychonauts was involved with it, or was it just his studio that put it out?
Same studio, because the first one is Double Fine and THQ.
Okay,
and the second one is just like straight up Double Fine.
Yeah, it was Tim Schafer. All right, I'm just forgetting things.
Everyone's favorite drunk uncle, Tim Schafer.
Yeah, he's
Pinhead.
Yeah, he's like Ryan Davis's like cousin is what he looks like he could have been.
It's crazy, like looking at him because he's like spitting image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. And speaking of things that only Hunter and I would know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Connor, that would be you.
Cool. Another video game following right after that one. I recently started playing Resident Evil 7 and
yeah.
I love that.
I kind of want to come out and say something about that genre of horror game in like the first person stuff. So like I played Outlast and I was like, this is really fucking impressive. It is really fucking scary. I just wish I had other ways to defend myself or get myself out of a situation other than I will wait in the dark until the thing that wants to kill me just gets bored.
Yeah, when they're just like, all right, well, I looked underneath this bed. I guess they're not here.
Yeah, and because this game makes you eat through your night vision battery or your batteries for your night vision camera so much, like you're like, I'm in the dark, I can't see, I know the thing is over there. If I move, he's gonna get me. So waiting is apparently what I'm gonna do.
I think
adding the ability to defend yourself actually makes that shit scarier because like they give you a gun and you're like, oh fuck yeah, and then like you shoot a couple times at you try to defend yourself against Jack, yeah. And he just fucking swats you away, and you're just like,
if I recall correctly, when you fight him in the garage, he laughs at you when you shoot him.
I think, and I've seen this in like videos, but I don't have all the context. Like, isn't there like I think a boss fight happens, you beat him, and then he goes, "Boy, you about to see something wonderful," and then puts your gun in his mouth and blows off his own head.
Yeah. So the crazy thing about that is that can end in so many ways. Like you can get in the car and like drive into him. He can get in the car and drive into you. Like that game is so well thought out. Like I remember I played it when it came out, and I played it recently, like a year ago, and I found sequences in the game that I did not get the first time. Like when Jack traps you in a room and chops your leg off.
Oh.
Yeah, which I think, like, because of the whole Resident Evil, edition, it's in that universe. Like, the first thing that happens to you, the first major event is you get your hand cut off. You wake up and it's just reattached, and you're like, oh yeah, go figure. And then if you keep, having these, small mistakes here and there, like you lose a bunch of limbs.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how far you're in, but
not like maybe an hour or two.
Okay. Then I'm not gonna say anything.
This is combined with me playing the demo, which is like, what is it? It's called, I can't remember what it's called. Like, oh shit. You follow those reporters or those like ghost hunting idiots.
Yeah.
It's like cabin or something.
Yeah, it might be. Like, I gotta say, like, I didn't beat Resident Evil 7. I got near the very end, I know, but I never beat it. But I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't quite as creepy and weird as the demo was, because the demo had some real, like, Resident Evil meets kind of Blair Witch feel to it. Like, how people would just be like, oh, I'm going to go over here, and, like, they're out of screen for a second, and then you turn, and they're gone, and everybody's like, what the fuck happened to them?
I think the demo does that, but then the actual game is this weird pastiche of almost everything.
Yeah, it definitely
because there's sequences in that game where I'm like, oh, this is this movie, or like this is this. It's just
the dinner table scene is very clearly Texas Chainsaw.
Yes,
I mean the whole house is Texas Chainsaw. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like when you get like outside of it, you're like, this is very Evil Dead. But then inside, you're kind of, this is Texas Chainsaw-y. But I don't know the details of the family yet. I just know I've seen Jack, and I've seen him cut his son's hand off the dinner table for reaching across the table.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
and
that's
mom
what a good father does.
even though I have no idea what her deal is. Something about her.
You need to keep playing. You need to keep playing so I can talk to you about this.
Yeah, and then girlfriend, whose name I can't remember, like when she first starts attacking you and you bury an axe in her neck, I was like, oh fuck, like, and then you turn out she's gone. I was like, what is even happening?
It's hilarious playing this game and then watching the Resident Evil Village trailer.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh,
yeah.
I think it's hilarious to play this game and then go watch either a trailer or any clips from the CGI Resident Evil movies.
Yes.
And just look at the complete opposite tone. So it's in the same universe, allegedly, from the same company.
Well, so apparently there's a new one that's on Netflix right now. Or coming to Netflix?
It's coming.
Like, hey, this is those stupid Gung Fu movies, movies, except now it's in the 7 house.
Well,
I'd actually love those, honestly.
This isn't really ruining anything for the game for you, Connor, but the Resident Evil 7 doesn't necessarily take place in the same universe.
No.
I would say it would be like a not parallel, but one that's running parallel to the Resident Evil Prime universe.
I thought it's like connected, but very
it's connected in the sense that this is something that could happen.
Yeah,
like the Marvel shows.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah. Like it's like all the mainstays of Resident Evil are there, but that is it. Like, and not even the mainstays because. Well, no, because you do have Umbrella, and all right, So you do have the mainstays, but that's about it. Like
this is Resident Evil 7 is one of the only games that I saw had VR support. And I was like, playing this in VR might kill somebody.
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah,
because I cannot imagine doing anything in this game in VR and having it not freak me the fuck out.
I mean, between that one, Blair Witch, and fucking Alien Isolation, no thanks.
I've played that Blair Witch game, and I could probably play that one.
Blair Witch game is interesting. Hunter, you're saying you like those CGI movies, and I do too, because they are like, I'm going to shut my brain all the way off and watch some of the stupidest shit I'll ever see, and it's starring Resident Evil characters.
Yeah, it's like if they took like IP Man and like all this stupid shit and like melded it together into one movie.
It's Equilibrium, like Ip Man, The Raid, and all these other like big trendy action films that have all had some kind of impact, mishmash into these like giant disaster pieces of just like giant fucking monsters getting squished and shot, and Leon Kennedy being a one-man death squad.
He's basically Captain America.
He throws a motorcycle at a big giant bioweapon, and then I think he's riding it, kicks it at the guy, shoots the gas tank, and it explodes.
It's so fucking cool.
That's after someone used a railgun on the same bioweapon, and it goes through 9 buildings.
And then there's a wedding that gets interrupted by a
Oh my god!
So
Wedding is the funniest fucking thing. we've talked about it here. It's when like it's a flashback sequence of one of the villains. It's just like there's no dialogue, just him at his wedding, and then a missile hits the wedding, and you just get like a quick shot of his reaction, like fucking Hal Jordan's dad in Green Lantern before he blows up. Then it cuts back, and he's holding his wife's severed arm, and he goes, "No!"
So good.
So silly. But yeah, Resident Evil 7. It's awesome. Play it. It's scary now.
No, it's wonderful. It somehow manages to feel exactly like what you want out of a Resident Evil game, but it's also done in first person. Like it still has that like plotting feel to the best Resident Evil games, but you're also now seeing everything from your character's perspective, which is even better. So yeah, I'd wholeheartedly endorse this choice. Yeah. I guess I'll go next. I have something else that's an anthology, but it's a comic series that came out from DC Vertigo. I can't say exactly when, but it was when I was buying individual issues a long time ago.
Wow.
But there's trades of it available now, but it's called Flinch, and it's all horror of various types, but it's definitely horror, be it human, supernatural, whatever the case might be. And it's like Brian Azzarello writer, Garth Ennis, Doug Mahnke, Richard Corbin, like really big names that have always kind of were flying underneath the radar at the time and might still be doing so. But if you're looking for something that has a little bit of everything, I would encourage you to just pick up the first trade. Like
I'm looking at this writers list, and like Greg Rucka's on here.
Yep. Yeah. It's a crazy good series, and there's 2 trades of it. But like the art can be here and there sometimes with some of them, but I guarantee there will at least be like 1, if not 3 stories that you like, because each issue had like 3 to 4 stories depending on who was involved in the creative team for that issue. So all in all, out of the 8 issues in the first trade, you've probably got about 24 to 30 stories that are all varying levels of quality, but I would still say they're totally worth the like $15 or $20 investment that you'd have to put into it. It's something I definitely come back to, like probably around Halloween every year, at least in October, just reread it, because they have a crazy story about foot binding. That's a horror story. Yeah.
I mean, that is a horror story. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Like,
was that Garth Ennis's one?
No, Garth Ennis's one was about the Titanic.
Yeah. And somebody fucking the Titanic, correct?
Whatever else.
Is there a dolphin?
Someone using the Titanic to fuck somebody else.
No, actually, the idea is that the Titanic was full of Satan worshippers. And,
so it's a Garth Ennis story.
And they summon Satan, and he sinks the boat. And as it's sinking, they're all yelling, "We deserve it! We deserve it! We deserve it!" And the last shot is people on lifeboats, and I think it's a captain and somebody else, and they're saying, "So an iceberg hit us, right?" And that's the end of the story. Yeah.
Wow, that is the most Garth Ennis thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, it's definitely fun. It's before he completely lost his mind.
So we hit an iceberg.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly endorse that. It's so worth reading. And like I said, there are ways around having to pay if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, do it that way. But yeah, check it out.
Steal really shit.
I mean, just in this case, it doesn't seem like it would be inordinately expensive to get a hold of this book.
No,
so
it wouldn't. Yeah.
If you're out there and you can get a physical copy, get a physical copy.
Yeah.
But if you can't,
steal it. Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to leave a silence and you can fill in what you want.
I'll say it. You should steal it.
Piracy rules.
I don't know what the current like in print, out of stock level it might be at this point, but yeah,
it's saying $750.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess on that point, this is Vertigo, a branch that is dead.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, nobody who worked on this is going to get paid if you buy it. I will leave it at that. So. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. Was I next? Am I?
Yes, you were.
Correct in that order. Awesome. I have no idea where to go from here. Let's just do one that's this works better. So a little disclaimer here. If you do not feel at all like you should support a writer who I will not name because he doesn't deserve a name, rhymes with Landis. Don't watch the first 2 seasons of Channel Zero. And I was unsure if Channel Zero kind of broke the rule of not stuff that we've talked about a lot, but like, I don't know. I haven't talked about Channel Zero in like 2 years since I first started watching it. But Channel Zero is great. It still is great. And if you're in the mood for something that's a little bit creepy, but I would say it's a fun watch. It never bummed me out watching that show. A lot of great performances, very cool ideas that they would explore on every season of that show.
The
so yeah,
man made out of teeth. That's
unsettling things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Just and they do some weird stuff in the later seasons.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't have anything.
I was just going to ask: is it the third season? Is the one that has Rutger Hauer in it, and is that his last performance?
It might be one of his last performances.
Yeah, which he's quite good at.
He is good. That's the only season I haven't seen all the way through.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know why. I think something about it was just. I liked it though. I mean, I still watched the 4th season, which is fantastic. And it features a lot of the same people. The cop from the 3rd season is one of the main characters in the 4th season. He plays a different role, obviously, because it's an anthology. You can do that. Yeah. But yeah, good show, worth checking out. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much to say. Very creepy. And it's like shocking that anybody made adaptations of creepypastas and that they were good. I feel like that was something that we weren't going to get for a very long time, but the fact that it happened now-ish is kind of still a surprise to me. Especially in a world where Slender Man exists.
Well, that's the thing. Like, all of the creepypastas that they based these seasons on, they took a lot of times the basic premise of the creepypasta and then did their own thing with it. Because Butcher Block is based on what I still argue is the best creepypasta I ever read, which was it's Search and Rescue, whatever. Yes. And it's just about these staircases in the woods, which I think I actually talked about a while ago when we talked about Halloween stuff. Was one of my suggestions. But yeah, they took the idea of the staircase in the middle of nowhere, but then they went in a very different direction with it, with meatpacking plant and all that whatnot. But yeah, it's good that I think they did it that way, because I think if they did a straight adaptation of a lot of these, it would just be like, and then they got back to their house and the ghost was still behind them. Like that's a lot of what creepypasta feels like in that time.
Creepypastas always feel like you walk to the middle of someone's story. And then you're just like, I don't know how the fuck this started, but holy shit.
Yeah. They're like creepypastas are always, to me, there's always like a similar, like the really bad ones, there's like they're all copying each other in a way.
They totally are.
It's just like they have almost the exact same structure a lot of the time too, and it makes it like if they were to adapt a straight creepypasta, they could never make another one again, because the next one they make would just be the same one.
Well, that, and I've noticed a lot of creepypastas, like the ones that even have interesting premises, they're like, oh, well, I don't know if I can tell you anymore. You should check back later. And then you see there's like 17 other parts to their story, and it's like, just learn to stop. Just learn to stop. Like, brevity is the soul of wit and horror sometimes.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes short and sweet is adaptation. The only other notable adaptation of this, like a creepypasta I can think of, is Marble Hornets.
Yeah, but and I mean that's not even on the same scale as what like they're doing with Channel Zero. So yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive that like real filmmakers were part of these shows, and they directed whole seasons. Like that's crazy. That doesn't happen. So yeah, it's just a good little thing to watch, and they're all on Shudder. Shudder is the secret suggestion that we always make, but I didn't feel like we needed to say it out loud. You just know it.
But
for $5 a month, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I don't. What was it in the chat where Connor, you were like, just say you want to give us the extra money, or you want the extra money. We'll pay you. We're not that worried, Shutter.
Yeah.
Just
like,
do it. I'm not gonna cancel you, Shutter.
No, regardless of like, there are definitely times I've been like, I should get rid of this streaming service. We don't really use it, but Shudder is always like, why? Like, it's $5. Who cares? Like, I forget I even have it, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on there now. So yes.
Ooh, what's Beelzebub?
I mean, yeah, you forget about it, and it builds up, and you come back, and it's like 10 new things that you're like, oh, I definitely want to watch that. Of course, I want to watch that. So yeah, it's.
And then you express it all at once like an anal gland, and
like you drink a couple bottles.
So angry that I'm the only one in the show who gets that.
Why do you think I said it?
Yeah. No, I get it, but I'm actively blocking it out as I speak.
Yeah.
I
guess that's Hunter then.
Okay, so let me just open up my notes again.
Hatbox Ghost.
Hatbox. Staring at Hatbox Ghost while doing acid.
Mm-hmm. He told you about the flat Earth.
That would work. Yeah.
So this is something I do every year. The David S. Pumpkins Halloween skit. I revisit it. It's so good.
You just watch the skit over and over again?
I do, actually.
I mean, hey, you know what? I can't begrudge it. So
never gets old.
I just like that it's brazenly nonsensical and doesn't mean anything, and it has Tom Hanks, doing absolutely nothing,
just being Tom Hanks, just being delightful. So yeah, I understand this.
Pumpkins.
I don't really have anything to add, but
same. Yeah.
I feel like none of us have anything to add. Other
to
than
be fair, that was one I had to put on last minute because I couldn't think of anything else.
Well, maybe if you were a good improviser, you could just come up with something off the fly, the fly based off of what we've already brought up.
I don't watch a lot of horror movies.
Big tall baby.
I am a big tall baby.
I mean,
put a diaper on me. I'm a baby.
Oh God, you'll flood the apartment.
Right, and we'll have to harvest the fluids like Shin Godzilla.
Like the money juice.
I've got one more, I guess. Like if nobody else wants to go.
Oh, I mean, I've got two more, but go ahead. Yeah, I'm just.
I have a bounty of them, so we can go as long as you guys want. So.
Oh dear God, I don't have the energy. Another video game, and this is a couple years old now, but if you want a fantastic, exhilarating horror experience, fucking Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a fucking masterpiece of a video game that I wish more people were playing, because it, especially if you love Lovecraftian horror, it's weird to see someone do it so well in a video game, because it captures all the weird shit from like the Cthulhu mythos and stuff like that, and like general themes of Lovecraft, but it's essentially still a Japanese action RPG.
The thing about Bloodborne I think I love the most is like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like playing Bloodborne that much, because like my thing with Souls games is I need to be playing with somebody else to really
it's the optimal experience to play with more people.
Yeah, it's like when I'm by myself, I'm like, all right, I don't have anything to spend for this. And Bloodborne has this great kind of wrapping around it where it keeps your attention very well, because it's like 1 minute you're walking through like a catacomb or something, and then you turn a corner and there's a giant like sea fucking Cthulhu beast on a building.
Well, and I was gonna get into the insight mechanics. I think the insight mechanic is like the best thing about it, and like one of the more unique things. So there's a currency in that game you can get called insight, and it's kind of rare. You need it for multiplayer. You buy weapons and stuff like that with it. Like, it's got very specific uses, but it has a hidden feature where the more insight you have, the more open your character is to what's actually going on in the environment around you. So there are these like locations you can walk up to in the game where you're just attacked by an invisible thing that nearly kills you every time. First time it happened to me, I freaked out, ran back to it, tried to smack it. It just backhanded me and killed me. You get enough insight. It turns out these are like old ones who were just hanging out on these buildings far from the potential sight of regular humans, and the only reason you can see them is because you're technically like enlightened in Lovecraftian terms. Like your eyes are open to the horrifying cosmic truth. And then once it gets, I think, past 60, all you hear is a baby crying in the background.
Yeah, it's fucked
all
it's really
the time.
Like,
yeah, all the bosses are very they look like Azathoth, Azathoth. They're Cthulhu based. There's some you could yes, people turn into fucking monsters and werewolves and shit. The environments are awesome, the setting is awesome, the music is awesome. Story's kind of cool, but we don't have time.
It's good.
Basically, some people were like, hey, we found these things underground. We think they were gods. Interesting. Let's drink their blood and see what happens.
Sure. Yep. It's the mummy juice and the forbidden cheese.
Bloodborne is about drinking the mummy juice.
They have the half of the ingredients for one bitchin' grilled cheese.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's basically like let's drink the mummy juice together. And they're like, oh, look, it heals us and makes us smarter. But the longer you are exposed to this, like starts turning into like this feral beast because you're not supposed to be doing this, but you're doing it anyway. And like,
so it's a metaphor for masturbation.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, that's the masterstroke.
Actually, you could read that entire game as a one grand like fucking metaphor for masturbation. Like, I could see it.
Well, see,
Don't do it. I did it.
I've never even played the game, so it's one of those things that like once PS5 comes out, I'm kind of like, well, maybe I'll finally get around to it because it's going to be able to run in 60 FPS and it'll probably look better. So yeah. As speak the secret words and the master race comes out here.
Ooh, you said it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Bloodborne. I think it's cool. I just don't have the attention span for it.
Yeah, I totally.
Yeah, it's not for me. But I know a lot about it actually, surprisingly, and it's the same thing I was telling Connor the other day on a post. Like, I respect the hell out of those games and games like it, games of its ilk.
It's a thing of like from a distance. I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'd rather that it exists and continues to exist, and like more people find out about it, or sequels and continuations from the same people.
And the special things about those games that even if you are in that camp where it's like, I don't think I want to play it. If you're a person who respects like a well-crafted world,
yeah, there's a lot there. But like, it's like there's entire YouTubers where like, you don't want to play, but here's the story of this one specific sword.
Yeah, VodiVidia's income is now based on him telling you how things in Dark Souls came to be the way they are.
Yeah, it's I that's my big problem with some of the Souls games and Souls-like games is that unless I really, really get caught up in the story, like I tend to get to a certain point and I'm like, all right, I'm going to walk away from this for a little bit and come back to it. And then I never do.
And then
like, I just lose track of where I was. And then I forget how to do things. I'm like, oh, I have that ability. Shit. And then it's too late. I built my character incorrectly.
For me, it's like Devil May Cry comes out and you're like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. I hear you.
There's a few bosses in that game that even I have found to be demoralizing. I think there's only like in Dark Souls 2, I haven't beaten every DLC boss, and in Dark Souls 3 there is one dragon boss called Midir who is such a fucking ass. Midir, not Medea. Yeah, hello. This is Medea of the Deep.
Dark Souls and Medea PlayStation.
Yeah, his name is Dark.
That's what we need. That's what the universe needs.
And he is an absolute motherfucker. And every time I've gone to fight him with George, like my Dark Souls war buddy, like he's doing fine. He's doing fucking great. He's surviving. I'm getting all the aggro. I'm getting hit all the time. None of my attacks are working. I'm like, dude, fuck this game and fuck the horse you rode in on. And I just leave the chat.
Fucking George just whistling the whole time.
Anything else anybody wanted to add about Bloodborne? That's it. I was about to say
I got nothing.
Bloodborne's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, everything I've heard about it seems like it could be really cool, and I'm interested, but I don't have the capability to play it at this point.
Yeah.
When PS5 comes out, we're all playing the PlayStation Plus collection.
I guess the only branch off of that I would say is there's been a lot of Lovecraftian games and games that are kind of,
that's
a good point.
That video games loves.
Yeah.
Yes, but especially recently, like that top-down strategy game that you guys convinced me was worth it, and I played a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Sea Salt.
Yeah, Sea Salt. That's it. Yeah.
The Sunken City. That game got taken off Steam.
Call of Cthulhu.
That game. Let me tell you.
Well, what's the one with the blob that like eats people? That's like a thing type creature. Is that kind of counts, right?
Carrion.
Carrion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that kind of.
Carrion's like Lovecraft and the Thing kind of fucked.
That game is so fucking fun.
Yeah, that game's great.
And if you go back, Eternal Darkness for GameCube is probably one of the best games to utilize Lovecraftian lore, because it does like its own version of it, and then the sanity meter is like a god's gift to gaming.
Yeah, and then you play Two Human and you realize how bad video games are.
Yeah. Oh, also, fucking from last year, Control.
Control,
a very spooky game to play right now. So
yeah. No, that's not bad.
Control, Alan Wake, kind of relevant.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. But yeah, I guess I'll go into one of my last two selections. This is actually a book. So I don't know if you guys would be interested in this, because I know none of you read, motherfucker.
I don't know how to read.
I know. What is reading? What is that?
Eric, keep going. I gotta run to the bathroom fast.
It's a book called House of Leaves by Daniel
I own this book.
Mark Z. Danielewski.
I've heard of this.
I
own this. It's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and I just haven't gotten
my
to
dad
it.
randomly sent it to me, so I was like, all right. My dad, not like, this was years ago, and I trust my dad because he and I have very similar tastes when it comes to movies and stuff like that. So I started reading it, and ostensibly it's about this character. I don't think he's going by his true name, but he calls himself Johnny Truant, if I remember correctly. And he's a assistant at not an intern, whatever. Like he's working at a tattoo parlor, and he starts hearing about this thing called the Zelensky tape, which is supposed to be a video about a house that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Like the TARDIS.
Yes, like the TARDIS.
Yep, like the TARDIS. But the thing is, as you keep reading this, you'll then start to go into this guy's search for info about this tape, about this house, and then you'll start finding out stories about the people who he talked to about this tape that were supposedly experts. So then it'll start going into the story about the people who lived in this house, but there'll be footnotes, and then the footnotes will start to be telling you the A story while the B story is going on the main page. And then you'll have things like the way the writing is set up on the page will be a spiral going in, and so it's doing a lot of really interesting things, and it's all adds up to be super unsettling. Like, I've been reading horror books since I was probably like 10 or 11. Like I think I read Pet Sematary when I was in like middle school. So it's, I've been reading this stuff for a while, and this book actually gave me nightmares when I was reading it. Like, it's one of the very few books I've ever read that like gave me such a sense of disquiet when I was reading it. I had to put it down for a little bit, just because it's doing so many different things that are so weird and so interesting, and the story it's telling is kind of unsettling because it's done so well. So I would advise anybody who can find it to grab it and give it a read, or Arlen, pull it off your shelf and read it.
I wish I could read so I could read this.
Yeah, well, we can't all be winners.
Yeah.
I just got it out of my room. I'm going to send a picture into the chat. So
do that. Yeah.
What if, every time I hold a book, it just looks so small in my giant hand.
And a crazy thing is that if I'm remembering correctly, the author of the book is actually, and this is probably showing my age, but there was a singer who went by the name Poe years and years and years ago. Yeah, female singer. This was back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Maybe she was popular, but she apparently had an album that's supposed to accompany this book while you're reading it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's some of those later points that like one of the pages that you have open up there in the second picture, like there'll be like a single word in the middle of a page. And then it just, I don't know, it's so good. And I feel like people know about it, but I think a lot more people know about it, but actually haven't read it because it can be a tough read just based on how much it's trying to do. Like, I mean, there's an entire section in the back of it that's supposed to be letters from the main character's mom from an insane asylum. So it's all over the place, but it's really, really good, and I would encourage anybody to pick it up and check it out.
I might check it out.
Maybe you should.
Sounds cool.
Maybe you should.
If only I knew how to read.
Like I said, I just haven't gotten around to it. It's been sitting on my shelf since years ago when I was listening to a podcast about media suggestions. Actually.
Okay.
I was actually in a bookstore and I saw it. I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy that."
What a weird roundabout trip you've taken.
Yeah. It was me on that media suggestion podcast. I've been talking to you about this book ever
You were
since.
listening to the Phantom Zone, you didn't even know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was a big loop. Big old time loop that I was stuck in. Doctor Strange was there. Mamu, I've come to bargain, all that stuff. Connor, are you back?
Yeah, I just came back.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't get lost on the way back or something.
Yeah, did you get lost in the whatever the house is called, the House of Leaves?
Well, I can't remember the name of the house, but yeah, it's
the House of Leaves. Yeah,
the House of Leaves, but I mean the specific house that they're talking about. But yeah,
the oldest house.
Yes, that's it. Yep, it's the oldest house. Yeah, it's a prequel to
in
Control.
New Orleans. Yeah.
I guess it would be your turn, Arlen.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. A couple picks here. I think I talked about this, but I want to bring it up again. The movie that is currently on HBO Max, seemingly that's the only place to watch it. Snatchers. We did talk about this. It was one that was a web series originally.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, this sounds familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not from Brazzers, Hunter.
I'm sure I guarantee there are a couple of scenes and miniseries that they've done with that title, I'm sure. This is a fun, like, teen comedy, I guess. I don't even know if that's accurate. Kind of a throwback to like 80s horror movies. There's these little bug creatures that can take over people's minds, and a lot of horrific violence ensues as this creature slowly starts to like spread and tries to find its mate so it can breed and take over the planet. I've
seen this movie, this documentary.
It goes
my searches, my many educational searches.
Yes.
Sure. It's a fun movie that I watched on a whim, not thinking I'd be getting anything substantive from it, but it's got a lot to say about women's reproductive rights, actually. For a horror movie about little bug creatures that take over people's brains and kill entire police stations. It's fun. There's a dude with an eye patch. Check it out. It's a great time.
Sold.
Does the dude with an eye patch put another eye patch on a dog? That's all I care about.
If he had a dog, he would. He probably.
And does he name the dog D-Dog?
He should have. It's a fun movie. There's a death in the movie that I still think about to this day.
Cool.
It's the terrified window moment.
It's a very similar to that. Where you know what? I'm just gonna say it, just because if I give away this kill, it's not gonna ruin the whole movie. So the bug creature, it starts off in the young girl who's the main character's womb. And I think I told you guys this when we first talked about this, because she gets pregnant after like a day after having sex for the first time.
Well, that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. And what happens is, I think there's like a nurse that's working on her, and she's played by somebody who's recognizable. I feel like she is. And while she's down there, the creature comes out like a fucking bullet out of a gun and goes straight through her head.
Whoa.
Yes. And through a door. It's fucking amazing.
Vagina cannon.
Yes. It's one of those moments where I was like, I had to rewind to make sure that I saw what I thought I saw. Yeah, it's fucking insane. And this thing does that throughout the movie. No, I mean, it's not going into vaginas to shoot itself out, but it's like bouncing back and forth and destroying people. Yeah, watch the movie just for that scene alone, because wow.
I want to see more weaponized vaginas.
I agree. That should be more of a thing.
Weaponized vaginas coming soon from
It's a sequel to Trolls World Tour.
Oh God.
All right. Does somebody have something else they want to do, or am I the only one who had something else on their list?
I think you're the only one who has something else.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I do have more, but you.
But you just talked about weaponized vaginas and weird aliens being shot out of them. It's something we've talked about a bit on here, and I know Connor, you just started recently catching up on it, but the TV show choice I went with was Lovecraft Country, because that show has been nothing but amazing. Like, there has not been an episode I've been disappointed in, and it feels like an anthology show, but it's not, because
I like that someone, like, and I know the book existed for a while, but like from a contemporary stance, like someone found a really good way to like reconcile with Lovecraft's like shitty, personal history.
Yep.
While also like respecting what he added to sci-fi and horror.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I think it's the only way you can really approach his stuff at this point, is be like, oh, bad man, but interesting ideas. Like, very bad man.
Howard, you are a bad man.
Yeah, mother. But yeah, it continues to pay off, and like every time I'm completely drawn into the A storyline, then they're like, oh, hey, no, that was actually a B storyline, because here's the continuation of the A storyline from the first two episodes. Like, and it has not let me down once yet. Like, every time I'm hooked in within the first 5 minutes. Like, not even, I wouldn't say the newest episode, but episode 6, what was it? I'll meet you in Daegu, or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact name of the title, but the one that was about
that sounds right.
Yeah, the one that was supposed to be taking place in Korea. Like, holy shit, that episode was amazing, and it was something we hadn't seen at all. Like, completely different than any other episodes. And then the newest one was something completely different, and didn't feel as much like a horror episode as it was a sci-fi one. And it was so good, and just it's everything you could potentially want out of anything that you might be familiar with Lovecraft wise, but also being done in a way to contemporize it that, once again, Lovecraft bad man, story-wise good.
It also paints, like, the first episode is very light on anything supernatural at the end. All the terror and tension comes from just racists.
Yep.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and now they're so intertwined. Like, they did such a good job of making you realize like, this is part of the real horror of that time period, arguably continuing real horror of the world. But for the point of these stories that they're telling, like, they've done such a good job of introducing that idea to you, or at least reinforcing that idea to you, that like, hey, this was really, really bad back then. Now it's just mixed in so well with all the other horror that it's just like, oh, is this monster horror, or is this human monster horror? Okay, it's human monster horror. Okay.
Humans are the real monsters.
Dun, dun, dun.
But
and people who made their cats N-word.
With that. That's the thing that I love. It's never like, don't you feel so bad about yourself for existence?
Is that The Walking Dead?
It never does any of that.
It's called The Walking Dead because they're really The Walking Dead.
Fucking shit.
Five more seasons, guys. 5 more seasons. Let's go.
Bad in dire situations, and this show will teach you that everybody's bad in dire situations.
Yeah, everyone
good guys.
Nobody does the right thing whatsoever.
This is so deep, guys. We should do 5 more seasons. That's all I'm saying.
And 3 spin-off shows.
Move into a town and say, "I'm gonna fuck that man's wife," and then he does.
That's a great detail from a season that I didn't watch, but I kind of wish that I had.
Fucking hilarious because he moves in. They're like, "Well, we need a sheriff." He's like, "I'll do it," and he's like, "I'll do it while I have sex with that girl." And like, she has a husband and a kid. He's like, "Don't care."
My favorite thing about that is that he's gone full circle and he's become Shane.
That's the amazing part. Is like that role defined him.
It's almost like they didn't know what they were doing after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Shock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
John Bernthal grunted his way into sleeping with Rick Grimes' wife.
You can't protect him, Rick. Okay. Well, I guess I'll end on one that I don't think we've ever talked about on here. Quick shout out though to Deep Murder, that movie about porn stars who end up in a slasher movie.
Great movie. I remember you talking about that.
Yes. Check that one out. That one's also on Shudder. It should be.
Does somebody get stuck in a washing machine in that one?
I think if they have a sequel, that will happen. That will definitely happen. It's more like 90s softcore, like old school. Okay. Like it's a lot of references to that. But very fun movie. So this is my actual pick though, is another movie that is on Shudder, but it seems to be everywhere else also, or everywhere that's free. It's on Vudu. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and it's on the Roku channel for you Roku users. So it's pretty accessible, and it's a movie called Howl. Have you heard of this movie or seen this movie?
No, what is it called?
Howl.
What's that about?
You'll be shocked. It's a movie starring Ed Spielers. And trying to tell you who Ed Spielers is hard because he's been in just a lot of things that aren't as good as this. But he got the right to play Aragon in the adaptation.
Oh no, this is that guy.
This is that guy like 10 years later. He's actually really good though. That's the thing. I was like, I know him from somewhere. At some point, this man ruined my childhood in some way. He affected me deeply, and then I was like, "Oh shit, that's Aragon." But no, he's in this movie, which is it's essentially there's a train, a commuter train going going from I think London or some busy city in England out to the countryside. And as they're going on the night train, something happens. The train engine stops up. The conductor goes outside, and something gets him. Something pulls him into the woods.
Let me guess. An owl.
Yes, an owl, a regular-sized owl.
Really strong claws.
No,
was it a bootlegging goblin?
God damn you son of a bitch. No, it's as you later find out towards the tail end of the movie, a large pack of werewolves has decided that they want some dinner. So they cause the train to stop, and they are gonna eat everybody in that train.
That sounds awesome.
Like a tuna can.
Yeah, it's a great use of the premise. It's a werewolf movie made in the last 5 years, where it feels like, oh, somebody spent money on this. This does not feel super cheap for the most part. The designs are, I mean, it's really hard to do an original werewolf design at this point, but they do a fairly good job of making something that feels distinct and scary. They do everything in their power to make them feel eerie, and they never weaken them towards the end to make it feel to get the characters out of it. A lot of people die. A lot. I think most of the people die. I mean, that's not a spoiler. It's just a very like dark movie that takes it very seriously.
What the hell, man?
Oh, I was gonna say, so it's like Train to Busan, except with stuffy British people.
I thought they were going to reason
with all the stuffy. Yes, yeah, they were gonna work it out because
they're gonna negotiate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love that version though, where they get on the phone with the werewolves and the werewolves are like grunting back at them like that would be fantastic. But no, it's a really strong movie. And I'd seen it on a couple of different streaming services, and if you just went off the poster that's at least here in America, I could understand not watching this because it's really bad. It's a werewolf that looks nothing like what they have in the movie.
Okay. So I was going to ask, because when I was looking up the poster, it looks like that werewolf on there has some sort of cancer based on the bumps on its face.
I know. I think I know what poster you're talking about. And yeah, it's not a lot of good like promotional images from what I can find. But no, the movie itself and the actual on-camera designs works, and it's just it's a really fun movie. If you're like me and Hunter, and you're just like constantly like thinking about werewolves, this is a very good movie for you. And again, interesting premise that I think that they use well. So check it out. And yeah. And you have no excuse because it's free. It's not even you have to have Shudder. It is free in a lot of places. So just
it doesn't look like it's even on Shudder at this point. It looks like it's Vudu is
it's
one
on
of the few.
Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi and Vudu. Yeah,
almighty Tubi.
Yes, the Tubi.
Tubi. We know what we are. That should be
exactly
their fucking name. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have any other suggestions, and I know Connor and Hunter don't. So I guess we could wrap this up, unless you have something you wanted to, unless you had something else you had a burning desire to bring up.
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I did make a giant list for people to go to if they want to, and I'm going to add everything that you guys suggested, at least movie-wise, to it. And it'll be a letterbox list attached to this episode. So anybody that wants to find all this stuff and watch it later, that should be there. Yeah,
they should. Or you're losers.
Yes, you're losers and you're idiots.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you don't
And
listen
you should
and
steal stuff.
write us in with your thoughts, you're losers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, plugs.
Yeah, I don't have the energy for a long plug, so hey, go listen to Movie Dumpster. We're just getting into Trick or Trash. Yeah. Starting off with Satan's Little Helper. Not a fan. Just ran out of the summer stuff. Some people got some barbecue sauce and some aprons. I don't know what we're doing next because I haven't consulted the doc all day. So stick around though. We usually do some cool shit. We have Pissy Miles, who is famous for appearing, I think, at the Trump impeachment hearings or like one of the big Trump news events. He's gonna be on the show, and we're all talking about Ernest Scared Stupid.
What?
Okay. Yeah. What capacity did this guy show up in at the at something involving Trump?
I don't remember, but he was during the Stormy Daniels stuff. So Pissy Miles is a transgender woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that you say that, yeah.
She's got her. I think it's the. I can't remember the name of her show, but she is in their horror movie podcast. She's gonna be on the show with us.
Okay.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
That should be fun. Speaking of, I was on the Movie Dumpster. It was as it was the first time. It was a fantastic time. It was a great show. At least I thought it was.
Let's calm down
as we burn through the Clint Howard.
Yes.
Let's relax, Arlen. Let's chill out.
I had a good time. Again, if you thought that the trash talking of Nick Cassavetes that we did earlier in this episode was good, check out that Wraith episode.
We shot his whole life in that movie.
It's so good. Listen to that. Literally just today, me and Erik Sayor recorded a podcast that will be titled My Three Draculas. Because we talked about a lot of Dracula related stuff, but primarily the Christopher Lee first Dracula that he did, Frank Langella's Dracula, and of course the Francis Ford Coppola, Gary Oldman Dracula. But just the concept of Dracula overall is also discussed. So listen to that as part of the Lost Horrors Spooktober or Spookytober. That first thing that I said is not something that you want to do or pay attention to. So yeah, that's a thing that you should all listen to. Both of those things, and the 100th episode, of course, that we did, which is entirely too much me. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So if
follow you anywhere.
No. If you're listening to this, you probably have heard my Instagram handle given out on various podcasts. Don't follow me anywhere, as I always say. And if you do all know, I always know.
I mean, okay.
It gives you notification.
Do you know when I follow you down the street, Hunter? Do you know?
Yes,
that?
I do know.
But that's such an empty threat. Like, I know. Okay, what are you going to do about it, bitch?
You know, your phone tells you.
I'm going to go.
Like when Batman threatens Amanda Waller, it's like, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go to their house and flip over their house because I'm a giant. You can look forward to streaming. That's happening soon. We're just starting to do logos and stuff, and that's pretty exciting.
Are you ever going to finish Stream Daddy?
No.
Oh.
I wish I could.
I'm sorry. That's a bummer.
That's a whole other thing. But yeah, streaming coming soon. That's it.
All right. I'm Erik Fedorchak. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. There's pictures of dogs and food and cats and comics. I'm also on the Phantom Zone and doing the things on the Phantom Zone. I like to be on the Phantom Zone. I also can't get the idea of current Frank Langella as Dracula out of my head right now, which would be great. And also,
over my house and car front.
The other thing is, like, for some reason the song that Bradley Cooper sang in A Star Is Born recently was playing on the radio for some odd reason, and I started to try and figure out how to make the lyrics into Rocket singing that song, and it just tell me something good is your best friend made of wood is all the further I got so far. So I'm working on it.
Walter Cronkite.
Tell me something good. Is your best friend made of wood?
God damn it.
Yeah, and that's all I got. And the ever creeping dread, Pennywise.
Kevin Feige needs to give us this.
Yeah,
he needs to do this in our time of need.
I'll use my psychic link that I developed with him clearly to
right.
input that via Inception.
I mean, as we've learned, everybody adapting comic books listens to our show. Clearly,
honestly, I'm starting to think that someone might.
Oh, I'm just gonna wear Bob Iger's skin and tell him what to do.
I'm just imagining Erik like sneaking into his house wearing Bob Iger's skin. It's like a Ghost of Christmas Past situation where he's like, he'll be visited by 3 other ghosts.
Oh, see, no, I would just show up in Bob Iger's skin with no clothes on. It would just be.
I'm also imagining you trying to psychically incept Kevin Feige, and like it just cuts to him, and he's like, "Huh," and then just like that's it, like he just farts.
He dodges a sandwich coming out of nowhere.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Let's depart from this mortal coil.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And as Pennywise crawled out of the
No,
get him.
No,
Get him.
bye.
Stop. Get